Hey everyone, this is Cubastic, welcome to my home again. Let me introduce my new pet, my new 3D printer. You might have seen it previously on my channel, but today I'm going to show you what I've printed with it. Trust me, these things are amazing. And I'll tell you what this printer can do and how it works. I'm just going to introduce it to you because I plan to make a lot of content with that 3D printer. And I plan to print out some big projects with it, like a fully functional Rubik's Cube or something else. You can also write in the comments what would you like me to print out. Now the printer printed this little gauge cube to show you one of the most interesting things in this printer. The hidden platform here is removable, held on magnets. Look. Geniusly, we can separate a printed model along with the platform. Look at this feature. When we bend it, the model takes off very easily. I mean, there won't be any problems at all, especially with the big models, to take it off the desk by just bending it. All we have to do is to remove unnecessary things, put the magnetic panel back, wipe it down and continue to print. Now let's see what quality this babe can provide. Look at how closely these layers lie, layer to layer with no gap. This quality is much better than my last printer had, and I'm glad that it's possible here. This cube shows the printer's movement along the axis and how well the horizontal, vertical and longitudinal axes are printed. But it's a simple model to show the power of this cool device, so I'm going to show you something more interesting. Everybody knows this thing. It is an infinite cube, that's what it's called. And the interesting thing is it was printed wholly. This is how the printing was done. The cube was spread out on the printer's working surface and was being printed. Each of the individual elements was printed, all the moving parts, and after that, when I took it off the desk, the cube continued to move. And it was fully functional. As you can see, you can print out the most unrealistic things. But this is not all that I'm going to show you today. But before you see this, let's start printing with this 3D printer, and you can see how it prints, how it works, and its features. Let's turn it on first. It said hello to us. While it's saying hello, the only thing we need to do to prepare for the printing is to take off this hidden platform and rub it with alcohol, to avoid fat stains on it and to make sure that our model sticks very well to the printing desk. It's really cool that it's magnetic. I like it. By the way, if you noticed, it has a textured surface that helps our model stick well. Now we have to load the filament. The filament is a thread that the printer prints with. I picked the gray color in advance. Look at another thing. As soon as I put the filament in here, it tells me to pick what filament I have loaded. We're going to pick this type here. Once it is warm, the filament will automatically be loaded. I don't have to do anything with my own hands. This printer is a little bit smarter than any other printer on the market, and so the work gets a lot easier. I will tell you right away that during the first launch, it completely automatically self-calibrated everything. The operation of the heaters, the calibration of the axles, the fans and all the electronics. All I have to do now is just push the buttons. By the way, it is hot right now and it is ready to load the filament. Notice, here is where I pressed the button and the filament is loaded. First comes the old plastic, it was black plastic, then it has to go gray. There it is, our plastic. We have selected the model we want to print and the printer starts automatic pre-calibration before each print. To do that, it has a special altitude sensor. When it lowers down and almost touches the table, it senses height up to a fraction of a millimeter. In addition, that allows it to adjust the print height perfectly. To do this, it makes a preliminary calibration by 9 points on the desk to make sure that the first layer is going to be perfect. Well, the printing has begun with a kinda initial extrusion, I don't know what to call it. The printer squeezes the excess plastic out of the nozzle and starts printing. Well, the printing has begun, the first layer is printing. I'm not going to show you the whole process in details, you'll see at the end what I did or failed to print. In the meanwhile, I'm going to show you the most interesting models I've already printed with this printer. Important news! All you ask me in the comments to print the Rubik's Cube with a 3D printer. Friends, I have already printed it, even more than one. The thing is, I've been working on this project for a long time, a few months, but I want to bring it to perfection, to show you the perfect and cool 3D printed Rubik's Cube. Let's make a deal with you. You subscribe to this channel right now, and the most important thing is to turn on all notifications. Because right now YouTube is just not sending you my videos, friends. I'm doing this for you. Don't miss the best content on my channel and you will see the 3D printed Rubik's Cube, one of the first. And if you are tired of waiting and you want to see it right now, click on the link in the description and visit thecubicle.com. There you can find the biggest variety of Rubik's Cubes and other puzzles. The Cubicle store is one of the best and one of the largest online puzzle stores in the world. Fast delivery, huge assortment of goods and high quality service. This is what the Cubicle store guarantees. I checked it personally. I purchase all my puzzles in this store. So if you still don't know how this store works, how it delivers goods, go to the link in the description right now. Pick the puzzle you want, enter promo code CUBASTIC, get your discount and train your brain with us. This was very first model that I printed with my new printer. This is a Batman logo. A model was printed very quickly, it was on the flash drive already, this was done so that I could immediately print something, and I think it turned out very well and its quality, but the thing I love the most about the plastic is its unusual color, like metallic or silver gray, and it also glitters, I love it. But the interesting thing is what quality can this printer provide. To understand that, I printed out the ship that you all know, and it was so perfect. I think it's going to be the last ship I printed out. The thing is, these ships are used to see what the printer can do with these complex elements, like circular and square holes, and an overhang, flat, convex parts, and so on. Just look, this is the standard thickness of the layer. Here it is 0.3 mm. It is very little thickness, but here it is 0.15 mm. Just look, I don't think you will see the layers here. After this ship, I printed out a more detailed model. This is a frog. It was slightly better view of the layers, if you look closely, especially here on the back, layer to layer, a perfect quality, accuracy of the printing head positioning. But you can still see these layers here, even though they are only 0.15 mm thick. However, if you think it is maximum that the printer can do, it is not. It can print even thinner layers, like this little tiny miniature model. Here the thickness is 0.1 mm, which means that 10 layers are 1 mm of the height of the model. Just look at how thin these layers are, they are barely noticeable. If you think they are not small, trust me, the model is about 1.5 cm tall. But that, my friend, is not a limit. It can print even thinner layers. Attention! The thickness of this layer is 0.05 mm. I cannot see them at all, and look at this model, it is hard to imagine that it is printed out with a 3D printer. Cause the layers are not visible at all, the model is just completely monolithic. Unfortunately, printing with this quality takes an enormous amount of time, and it has its faults. Like here, the abdomen here was too thick, and it's just kind of shattered the layers here. They are not as smooth as on the back. But friends, 0.05 mm, 20 layers are 1 mm height. For comparison, you can look at this frog. I also printed out two models like this as a test. This is a duck, I don't really know which dog breed it actually is, you can write it in the comments. And this is a fact that audiences have seen in my previous videos. In general, you can clearly see the quality of the models and their resolution. But in fact, if you think you can print just these trinkets that are going to stand and dust, you are wrong. You can also print some useful and functional models. Here is a simple example of that, an ordinary whistle, which is also incidentally considered to be a test model because it has its own printing problems and it's fully functional. That's it. So if you're suddenly a football referee without a whistle, just buy yourself a $1000 printer and print out your whistle. No problem, but that's not all either. Now we're going to get to the interesting part. The fact is that 3D printing technology is so unique that it allows printing already moving parts in one single assembled form. You saw at the beginning of the video this infinite cube. By the way, I have another one, just from another material. If you want it, write in the comments, I'll send it to you, cause I don't need to, I can give it to you. And something more difficult, like these gears. It's also a test model that shows how good the printer is at printing functional moving parts. Just see how well it spins. Let's move on to something more formidable and more accurate. Friends, it's a fully functioning model of a bolt and a nut. Yes, I agree with you, it's a completely useless thing, but it still shows the ability of 3D printing and shows what my 3D printer can do. Printing out curvings like this, without any supporting structures and with this kind of cool plastic, is, believe me, a real pleasure. And when you realize that the details just perfectly fit each other, you finally realize that the 3D printer that you bought can really do a lot of things. And friends, I've got a huge amount of cool stuff for you to print with the 3D printer. But there were some failures too. For example, look at this. During the printing, the model just got out of the table. Not because the table was not holding well, but because I didn't calibrate it well. As you notice, on the first layer we have a texture on the table and there should be this pattern at the bottom of each model. And here we can hardly see this pattern, and you can see these stripes, and that means that model was too high above the table. Some fractions of a millimeter, but nevertheless they affected, and right in the middle of the printing the ship fell off the table. There was no point to continue printing any longer. It is not the worst fail that has ever happened, because look! It's not all. 2 and 3. I couldn't figure out for a long time why I couldn't print this dragon, but it turned out that the plastic quality was really bad. At one point it was just stuck in a tube, it didn't go any further. It happened because its thickness was unstable. The thing is, the printing is made with this kind of plastic filament, and it has to be exactly 1.75 mm across the length. But at some point the thread thickness increased and it just got stuck, and it didn't want to go any further, so the printing was broken. I'm going to try to figure out a way to solve this problem, and I'm going to print out this dragon, because I really want to show it to you. At least not in this video, well, let me show it to you on my Instagram. Go to the link in the description, a dragon is waiting for you on my Instagram. I hope I can make it work. You can go right now and check. Let's move on to something much cooler, more interesting and more detailed. These are full-fledged models. By the way, write in the comments what is this lady's name. I'm sure a lot of you now thought it was Cleopatra, but her real name is Nefertiti. It's an exact replica of a bust thousands of years old. The thing about 3D printing is that it is not just possible to replicate some imaginary model, a model designed by a 3D designer, but a real model too. This, my friends, a complete and exact replica of this historical relic. this bust of Nefertiti, well known to the world. Each of you has seen its photographs or images, and I printed it out. And it is as close to the original as possible. If you look closely, you will notice even small chips, all the details. Just like the original, she's got a piece of an ear chipped. There are barely visible marks of the necklace on her chest. To make a model with such precision, you need only one technology – 3D scanning. Now, the original of this statue was scanned and distributed on the internet, so anyone with a 3D printer could print this thing. Now, let's move on to something bigger. Guys, are you ready to see a really big model? Look at it! What a nice Groot! It's made in 21 cm height. This is the maximum height my 3D printer is capable of. Just look at these details. Even these tree rings that are on the cut of the tree are printed perfectly. The bark of the tree, all these transitions are perfect. And the whole model looks amazing, and it really decorates my apartment. But there is one downside. There is a fail in it too. Look on this side. See this thing here? It means one thing. That the printer at some point lost its way and started printed in the wrong place. And unfortunately it turned out to be a fail, but thanks to the fact that this printer is a little smarter than the others, it was able to go back and print again. So I didn't waste the plastic and the model turned out to be ready, although it's a little bit spoiled, but it's easy to fix. Let's just cut this one right now and see what we get. I remind you that this video is sponsored by the Cubicle.com store. Look, it's good. You can't see much, especially if there's a seam in a place we're not going to look in. It just stands and there is no hint at all that there is a defect. Actually, I was surprised that the printing was complete, because if I printed it with any other printer, it would just print the head next to it and it would fall off and the model would be ruined and the plastic would have been wasted. But still, the model was completed and it was amazing. The printer just realized that it was wrong. It is okay to make mistakes for any printer, but it came back within a millimeter. I don't know, perfect. I'm very pleased. Before I show you the most interesting models that I've printed, I'll tell you that all of this stuff that I have on my desk have been printed to figure out how the printer works, at what speed, with what kind of quality, what kind of plastic and what are its drawbacks to correct them in the future. Even some of these models may seem useless, but friends, the most useful model I printed with this 3D printer is right in my pocket now. Friends, of course I didn't print out my phone, I printed out my phone case. Just look how great it is. I use my phone every day, each of you uses a phone all the time, even now you're watching videos from smartphones. So we use cases every day. This is probably the first thing I've ever printed with a 3D printer that I use every day. And besides, it's not just a case, my friends. It's printed out with flexible material, so it's capable first of all of bending like this, and second, of taking a punch. It is real good case. If I drop my phone, the case will take a hit because the plastic is kind of rubber, soft, and I think it's awesome. It is also visible in this case that the surface in which the plastic lays on is woolly and even has a textured cover. You know, I loved printing with flexible plastic so much that I printed another case for my girlfriend, but it's made of a different material and it's even more amazing, because it's more flexible. This material is called TPU. If I'm not mistaken, it's an acronym for heat-resistant polyurethane. I might be wrong, correct me in the comments if you know. And this is exactly the material that actual mobile phone covers are made of. and shoes and other flexible stuff. Friends, just look at how flexible it is. Incredible stuff. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Here's a coil with this material, and just look at how flexible this plastic thread is. It's structurally similar to, I don't know, boiled pasta. It's very flexible, you can bend it even twice. Compared to the stiffness of an ordinary plastic thread, which is very easy to bend and break, this doesn't happen with this one. However, you get a headache with this flexible thread here, but still my printer can handle it. Just look at this. The case, it's a full-fledged, functioning 3D printed thing. Great! I'm really excited. If you're also surprised by this case, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. Now let's look at another model. And I printed this model out of the same material, and it's Pokemon, it's Bulbasaur. Look how good it is, and most importantly, it's flexible. It's like, you know, Pokemon anti-stress. Almost everything is flexible. Pikachu came out really cool, and it's printed out like jelly. The thing is, this plastic has another thing. It's semi-translucent, so in some places you can see the internal feel of the model through the outer wall being illuminated, and how it bends. Very cool stuff. Write down what else to print. I just love to print with a flexible plastic. So, to sum up, 3D printing is a hobby that I really like. I'm just excited what can actually be printed. I just have a lot of ideas for you, and I will bring you joy with new videos, new 3D printing content, and I'm glad that you and I got to know the power of my new 3D printer. You saw what it could do, how precisely it could print, what it can do with even these flexible details, so I have this huge 3D printing world that I want to show you. Support me by subscribing to my channel if you want to see the really cool and useful and interesting 3D printed things. But in the beginning we started printing, and I promised to show you the results. And so guys, the printing ended, and it took about 7 hours, actually 7 hours 20 minutes. Let's take this off. I won't tell you what it is yet, you can look closely and write in the comments your suggestions, what could it be. And just to be clear, let me show you a little bit more. Look, this is a piece that was printed like this with the printer. The look of it tells us it has to fold somehow. There's a lot of moving parts here. It was a challenge for the printer because there were so many of these hovering elements, so many small bridges which have been printed in thin air. So the printer did this, and the quality is amazing. Let's try to put this into a working model like this. So this is a cell, and then we'll lower the bottom and cover it with a lid. This is a box that we have. God, this is a fantastic model that demonstrates 3D printing possibilities very well. But unfortunately the box is empty. I don't know what to put in it. I suggest you put your likes, your bells and your subscriptions in it. Thank you all for watching. This was Cubastic. Bye everyone, and have a good time. I know it's Pikachu.